everybody. This is Jimmy Sturr, and we're here with another Hall of Fame interview series, and we have a wonderful person today. He's a writer, he's a composer, he's a musician, and he's an arranger. He's been in the Hall of Fame for 20 years, this year coincidentally celebrating his 20th year. He was inducted in the year of 2000. His name is Henry Wilczynski. Now, I mentioned that name, but many of you don't know that name, Henry Wilczynski, but you will know the name of Henry Will. Henry Will started out in his home state of Connecticut and did such a great job. It started at a very early age, and he was like 14 years old when he started his own band. Henry Will, congratulations to you and welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Now, how old were you when you first started playing the accordion?
Well, I was, I think, about 12 years old, 11 years old.
Now, we always have the question, you must have had a reason that you started to play the accordion.
Yeah, this was in grammar school. There was a girl that I kind of liked, and the New Haven Institute of Music came down to our church, St. Donato's, and just demonstrated instruments. And Marie was going to take up the accordion, and I said, well, guess what? I got to take up the accordion.
And that's why you did it. Now, you're also, I mean, equally a great accordion player. When did you start playing piano?
I really started playing piano when I went to college. I had Samuel Gorski was a concert pianist, and I studied with him for 4 years, actually, at the Hartford School of Music, which later became University of Hartford.
All right, you grew up, you were born and brought up right around the New Haven area most of your life before you moved. Now,
correct.
How did you get into polka music?
Well, my dad used to listen to the radio all the time. He listened to Walt Solik. Walt had a program, and his Walter's accordion player was going into the service. And Walter was advertising for someone to join his band. And my dad kept telling me to go try out, go try out, go try out. So finally I did, and auditioned with the band, and Walt gave me a job.
Now, that was when? Back in probably, the mid-'50s maybe?
That was, let's see, that was in 1949, actually. I was 17 years old.
Oh, my.
When
Walt Solik,
joined
one of the
Walter.
greats. You know, it's funny, you growing up in Connecticut, of course, Chicago has, they have the hotbed of polka music with the honky style. But growing up on the East Coast, the hotbed was right in your area. You had so many great bands. I mean, you had not only Walt Solik, but you had Ray Henry, Gene Wisniewski, the Connecticut Twins, Frank Wodorowski, Joe Rock. You had Al Soika, and all of these other bands. So you growing up had the opportunity to hear a lot of these bands in person. But
yes, I did.
Where was your favorite place, do you think, when you started playing with Walt Solik back in 1949, 50? What was one of your favorite places to play?
We used to play at a place called the Quonset Hut up in Massachusetts. We played there every Thursday.
Every Thursday, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think they had bands there almost every night of the week, polka bands.
They did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
And there was another place that I just used to hear about all the time growing up that was even closer to your hometown. It happened to be the Polish home in Hartford, Connecticut. Now, did you ever play there?
Yeah, that was a great place to play because the ballroom had a great sound. It really was a pleasure to hear yourself.
Oh, I bet it was.
Playing.
It was upstairs, correct? You had to carry your equipment upstairs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure the whole real story on it, but if I'm correct, didn't they used to broadcast on that 50,000-watt station, WTIC, out of Hartford, Connecticut? Didn't they broadcast, every Tuesday night, maybe? And it was all polkas, and people, and you would listen to it even up as far as Buffalo.
Yeah, let's see, Ray Henry played, and Gene Chet Osowski. Yeah, right.
Okay, Chet Osowski.
He actually founded the Harmony Bells, which Gene Wisniewski took over.
Originally took over, right? And they played. Sure, they played there. And this jockey, it was a very famous disc jockey in that area, and his name was Stan Ozimek, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Stan. Yeah, great guy. I played his wedding.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, you know, and also he after he finished off the Tuesday nights at WTIC. He went on, and I think he had a radio show for many, many years live from the Polish Club downstairs. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yes, he did. And then actually, John Jeske took it over.
Exactly after that.
And I played down there quite a few times with Johnny Prasitsky, the twins.
Sure, Yash and Stash.
Yeah, on Sundays. Yeah.
Well, let's get back to some of the things that you did. When did you start your first band? You mentioned it, 17 or 14?
No, 14. We had a three-piece band. My dad used to haul us over to wherever we were playing, which were mainly clubs. And then from that's when I went with Solik, in 59. And that was fun. Walter.
Oh, I can imagine. You traveled all over the Northeast with Walt Solik.
I know. And they used to pull all kinds of jokes on me because I was the kid in the band. Everybody was older.
Well, who inspired you, would you say, growing up?
Well, I like Ray's band.
Ray Henry, sure.
Yeah, Ray Henry. And then I liked Gene's, the Harmony Bells.
Well, everybody did. They were fine musicians. But, back then, all of those bands up around that New England area, they were all in their own. They all had different styles. You know who they were when they played. You could hear 8 measures and know exactly who it was.
Yeah.
Which was really cool about that part.
Yeah, not like today.
You performed with a lot of bands.
I played with, I did arrangements for Joe Rock. I did some for the Twins. Solik, Patty and the guys, Bavinsky,
sure,
Dick Tiller. I played, did some arrangements for him. I played piano on his recordings.
Now, who else did you record for? You're missing somebody.
The Maestro's Man. I played with Jimmy Sturr.
You did, but let me tell you, I have to just mention how many arrangements do you think you've done for our orchestra?
Oh God. 800, 1,000.
Sure. Yeah, at least that many.
I mean, we're talking 55 years of writing for you.
Well, probably towards 50, 55 years. But I remember the very first one you ever did. I got this idea that I wanted to do a medley album of Polka.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And I called you and said, "Would you arrange this for me?" And you said, "Sure, I did." And that right there was the beginning. And it had so much to do with the great arrangements. And if you remember back then, you used to see, let's have a polka party with the Jimmy Sturr Orchestra advertised nationwide on television.
Yes, I did.
And that was back then. And so much of that goes to you because of the arrangements. I was fortunate to have good musicians, but the arrangements are what
wonderful
really
players.
Yeah, but we can even go on a little bit further than that. I mean, you're missing out on some of the people that recorded with our orchestra that actually you did all the arrangements. And I'm talking about people like Myron Florin from the Lawrence Welk Show, one of the all-time greatest. We've got 5 CDs out with him, and you did all the arrangements. And, of course, that's the legendary Willie Nelson. Yeah. You did all of his arrangements for our orchestra, but you did so many. That people don't realize and don't know about.
Yeah, Boots Randolph, Oakers Boys.
Yep.
Charlie Daniels,
Arlo Guthrie, Ray Price, Arlo Guthrie, Mel Tillis, Dwayne Eddy. Yeah. Remember
Bill Anderson.
Bill Anderson, Bobby Vinton. All recorded with our orchestra, and you did all of the arrangements, which are spectacular. Now let's get back. I mentioned that you were a writer, a composer. And, in fact, just stopping right there, as a composer, I recorded quite a few of your original songs on many of my recordings. You know, all of the polkas and obetics and stuff like that. And then I mentioned you being a great musician and an arranger, but you also were a music teacher.
Yeah.
Well, that was going back in time. And you used to give what? Did you ever play like a wind instrument or a brass instrument?
Well, in college, yeah, I played trombone. We had a jazz band in college. I played trombone. And, you know, to arrange, I took lessons on clarinet and saxophone.
Wow.
But never really delved into it. I liked the trombone, which I did.
Yeah.
And I liked the trumpet, played a little trumpet.
Did you real well? And then you mentioned about jazz. You know, after a while, after you know, you had your polka band, you started another type of a band.
Yeah,
and did you play a lot of swing and pop music and things like that?
Yes, we did a lot of country clubs, weddings clubs. I had a four-piece group, actually, and I had a girl singer who was just wonderful. She was fantastic. We did all pop tunes. We had very, very few polkas. Maybe one a night, you know, someone would ask for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not too many people know this, and I mentioned that you gave music lessons.
Yes.
It's incredible on two of the most famous students anybody could ever have, and you were the teacher on both of these people, Richard and Karen Carpenter. Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I took Richard first. He was about 9 or 10 years old. He had a teacher, and the teacher told him he'd never make a good piano player. And his mother, Agnes, went down to music store Goldie's in New Haven. And Goldie, I knew him well. He used to always give me students. And he said to Agnes that Richard should take lessons from me. And that's how that started. Richard was, you know, he had perfect pitch, and he had his own idea what kind of music he wanted to play and how. So I taught him chords and some improvising. And then Karen, she took lessons. She played accordion for a while, and then piano. And but she liked drums.
Did she? Oh.
That was
now, did you
her
ever
forte.
slip a polka in once in a while when she was taking a lesson?
You know, Richard's father, Harold, he had a whole slew of Ray Henry polka records.
Isn't that
he loved music, and he said the polkas were such a happy sound.
Isn't that nice? Yeah,
yeah, he had a big library, actually, of 78s at that time.
Wow. Now, you're still friends with Richard, and don't you talk to him right around the holiday season every year?
Yes, I do. In fact, this past year I was interviewed and filmed for another documentary for Japanese TV. I think that's the third or fourth one I've done for Japanese TV.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
And that was all through Richard?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt Karen Carpenter, she had one of the finest female voices, I should say, of anybody, as good as anybody.
She certainly did. I lived with them out in California there for, well, about a year or so. And that's where she really started singing at UCLA. This Frank Pooler was her teacher.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. And I was there when they signed a contract with Herb Alpert there.
Is that who they recorded with? Was it
A&M?
A&M Records. Wow.
Yeah.
Who do you think inspired you the most in polka music?
In polka music?
Yeah, polka music.
Actually, Ray. I loved Ray's band.
Ray Henry, yeah.
Yeah, it was simple, you know, not complicated arrangements, but they were good sounding. And when I was a kid, he used to write to me. We used to write to each other, talking about arrangements.
Well, he's quite a guy. But there, you know, tell me a little bit more about playing with Walt Solik. You know, you hear so many stories about Solik. Of course, there's none that we can even mention on today's little interview. But he was a character, and he was known as the Clown Prince of polka music.
Yes, he was.
So
yes,
what did he
was.
do, like when he got on stage? What were some of the antics that he would do on stage?
Oh, he would do a drunken bum song, and he would do a clown song, and one
of the biggest ones. They're always in the way.
Yeah.
And he'd dress up as this
girl,
lady
as a
with
woman.
the big bust and everything, and sing "They're Always in the Way." What she's got a lot. They're always in the way.
Yeah. That's one of his big tunes. And a lot of times when he was doing his act, instead of me playing accordion, I played drums.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When he didn't, he carried a drummer usually, but when he did not, then we don't need the accordion on this. Why don't you go play the drums?
Well, didn't he play drums also?
Yes, he did. He was a pretty good drummer.
He wasn't a bad polka drummer.
No.
I think he did some of his own recordings. It sounds like him on the drums.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did.
Funny.
And his half-brother, Joe Mudry, also did some of the recordings on drums.
Oh, okay. Well, what's funny, I mean, you mentioned this. I had the opportunity one time, and I was thrilled, especially back then. We were performing next to, I should say, Walt Solik and his orchestra.
Uh-huh.
And he asked me to sit in and play drums. I was never really a drummer at all. But I sat in, played the drums with him, and it was really cool. Then another story, we were playing, and he actually recorded quite a few recordings with our band.
I know, yeah.
Because you did some of those arrangements also. But one time, we were playing out in Pennsylvania, and he was singing with our band. And the stage was a two-tier stage where, the back of the band where it was up a little bit on a tier, maybe a foot high, and then the regular. And we started this song, and I went, "Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Solik," and we said, down he comes from the back. He never saw, he never saw that step. He missed that step, and the band whoever was playing next to us, he landed full force, right on this guy. The drummer's drums, they went all over the place. He got up like nothing happened. Just walked up to the stage and started singing.
Yeah, there's another story too. On one job, he went to hit the cymbal, and he fell off his stool into his suitcase there with the costumes in it.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was part of the act. When he played that place again, I can't remember where it was now, but anyway, he played it again. Somebody came up to him and asked him if he was going to do that act again where he misses the cymbal and winds up in his suitcase. And he said, no.
He was a character. Well, one time I had the opportunity to play. In fact, I'll bet you played there with him many years ago, of course. I played Paw Paw, West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, everybody there were big Walt Solik fans. And they said back, I'm going to say probably in the 50s, he used to perform in Paw Paw, West Virginia.
Yes, yeah. We used to go down on a week tour, actually, and that's one of the places that we played.
Wow.
Paw Paw, yeah.
That's wild.
And
okay,
it was packed, all these places.
You were born and brought up in and around the New Haven area, and you lived there for many years. And back in when did you now live in Cape Coral, Florida?
Right.
When did you move to Florida?
We moved down here in 07. We bought the house in the year 2000. We were down there. Friends of ours moved down, and Rose really liked it. And she says, I'm not leaving here until you buy me a house. So guess what happened? I had to buy a house.
By the way,
and we didn't use it very much, actually. Most of our friends came down. I was always getting phone calls. Can we use the house, Hank, down in Florida? Yeah, sure, go ahead. More people
By the way,
had
for
keys.
all of our listeners that are listening to this interview, we're actually talking with Henry Will, the writer, the composer, the musician, the arranger, and all the accomplishments that he's had throughout the years. nobody deserves any more to have been inducted into the Hall of Fame than Henry Will. Can you imagine, Henry, this is your 20th anniversary?
That's amazing.
Is that
I never
incredible?
even thought of it until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
You know, I was thinking about, when I started my band, I was 11 years old. And I looked up to everybody, all the musicians. Every 6 months, I'd have a different favorite band. One time it would be Solik. The next 6 months, it might have been Larry Chesky. The next 6 months, Soika. Things like that. Yeah. What would you, if you were to talk to somebody right now, what advice would you give to some of these new musicians starting in the polka field?
Well, I would say stick with it, diversify. That's a big thing today.
It is.
You got to be able to do everything.
You can't just go polka anymore. You have to be able to go in all directions.
Yeah, I did that big band. I did about 12 CDs, I think, for Walpole Cannon with the big band, 16-piece band.
Yeah.
And in it we have polkas and we have mariachi and some jazz tunes that I wrote originally. And
you did a lot of arrangements for Walter Procannon, sure.
Yeah, I did the 12 CDs for him.
Yep. Well, I have to say that I was fortunate to have received 18 Grammys and 25 nominations, and I mean this. Without those arrangements, we never would have won those Grammy Awards, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to do it.
Oh, we had some good times, didn't we? Back and forth talking about those.
And you have excellent musicians. I never had to worry about what I wrote.
Well,
and, some bands you have to take into consideration the musicians.
Yeah.
But your guys, they would do anything. Everything I wrote, they played.
Yeah, I'm lucky. You know what I always tell people? That I'm lucky that I own the bus, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't be in the band. Let's get back to some of those bands that you played with. You did the arrangements with them, and like guys like Dennis Polisky and the My Show's Men. I mean, they become quite popular. But you were with Dennis when he originally started out.
Yeah, I got a phone call from Dennis that said he left Ray Henry, and Bobby Tokarz, the drummer, left Ray Henry, and Stan Merzen. And Dennis called me and asked me, would you like to play with us and all? And I don't know, I hesitated at first, and then I said, yeah, sure. So we got together, and I did some of the early arrangements for him. But after that, Jackie Libera took over. He did the arrangements, and Dennis wrote some. But what a wonderful group! I tell you, that was one of the highlights of my playing career.
Well, that's great.
Said that to Dennis.
Dennis is a wonderful clarinet player.
Oh, he's wonderful.
And sax, sure. He's very good. I wonder whatever happened that they all left Ray Henry at the same time.
I really don't know.
I thought Ray Henry just sort of retired and they, just went out on their own.
Yeah, that may have been it. I don't know what what happened. But anyway, that's how that Dennis started, Polisky. And the great thing about his band, we would do the polkas, and I was able to add the harmony with them. We changed them around as we're playing. I mean, it was very creative for me and for Dennis.
Sure.
Yeah.
How many arrangements do you think you have done for all the bands in your lifetime?
Oh boy, a couple thousand.
Isn't that incredible? And most of those were done by hand. Now, of course, everybody does them by computer.
Yeah. They were all copied, scored out by hand, and copied by hand. And then I got involved with the computer. I had the program for about 2 years, and it was very complicated as far as I was concerned. But then all of a sudden it clicked, and that's all I do now. I use the computer.
Everybody does, sure. Well, you've led an interesting and an exciting life.
Yes, I have.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Before we leave.
Yeah.
would you change anything around, or would you do anything different if you had the opportunity to do it again?
I really don't think so. I don't think so. You know, in California, I did some arrangements for a TV show there, All-American College show, and I thought, well, California would be the place, but I don't know. We had a lot of bad luck in the Carpenter family as far as illness and deaths while I was out there. Oh. So I came back to Connecticut, and I don't think I would do anything different.
Well, you're a lucky man then, if that be the case.
I really am.
From New Haven, Connecticut to Cape Coral, Florida, doing all the arrangements, writing, composing, musicians, arranger. You've done just about everything there is to do. And without a doubt, you are, well, I'm going to say one of the best. I don't want to say the best because there might be somebody who is listening that's an arranger, but there's no doubt about it. You are the greatest.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life. Really. I always tell Rose, you know, I never had a real job. My father used to say that to me all the time. When are you going to get a real job?
Well, every parent said that. My parents said the same thing.
Is that right?
Oh, of course. When are you going to get a real job?
Yeah.
Well, listen, Henry, it was such a pleasure to do this interview for the Hall of Fame Interview Series. And I look forward to talking with you again. And have a wonderful day, and the best of luck to you.
Thanks, Sam. Same to you, Jim. Thank you.